Good morning, students. Today I am going to deliver my talk on the very first chapter of our syllabus of Advanced Drug Delivery System is fundamental concept of modified drug release. Actually, before going to touch upon this aspect, one should know what actually the drug delivery system is. Drug delivery system basically it is the technology which is used to present the drug to the desired body site for drug release and absorption, wherein the drugs are delivered for various purposes through various routes of administration and by different dosage forms for local or systemic action in the body. A thorough knowledge of conventional drug delivery system, pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics are prerequisites for the appreciation and understanding of the fundamental concept of modified release system. This is the agenda of my today's presentation, which consists of some terminology related with the sustained release and control release drug delivery system, then comparison of drug release profile of both, then advantages and disadvantages, drug selection criteria for SR and CR, classification of oral SR and CRDDS, evaluation, applications, and at last the conclusion. The general consensus is that control release denotes systems which can provide some control, whether this is of temporal or spatial nature or both, of the drug release in the body. In other words, you can say this system attempts to control drug concentration in the target tissue or cells. Thus, prolonged release or sustained release system which only prolong therapeutic blood or tissue level of the drug for an extended period of time, which cannot be considered as control release system by this definition. Not only this, but also you can say the distinguish from the rate control delivery system, which are able to specify the release rate and duration in vivo precisely on the basis of simple in vitro test. The drug targeting, on the other hand, can be considered as a form of control release, in that it exercises spatial control of drug release within the body. Actually, we come to down with the sustained drug delivery system and controlled drug delivery system. Actually, the sustained release drugs, these are any of the dosage form that maintains the therapeutic blood or tissue levels of drug by continuous release of medication for a prolonged period of time after administration of single dose. The basic goal of this therapy is to achieve the steady state blood level that is therapeutically effective and non-toxic for an extended period of time. Not only this, but also it also may provide an immediate dose required for the normal therapeutic response, followed by the gradual release of drug in amounts sufficient to maintain the therapeutic response for a specific extended period of time, usually 8 to 12 hours. As far as controlled drug delivery system is concerned, wherein it will going to confine one which delivers the drug at a predetermined rate for locally or systematically for a specified period of time, which continues the oral delivery of drugs at predictable and reproducible kinetics for predetermined period throughout the course of GIT. Nonetheless, there are broad objectives of the controlled release system are may confine its way to develop the dosage form suitably. The very first objective is to you can say prolong the duration of action of drug at a predetermined rate by maintaining a relatively constant effective drug level in the body with the minimization of adverse effects associated with a peak valley kinetic pattern. Second objective may be your localization of drug action by spatial placement of controlled release system near to or in the disease tissue or organ site, or you can say even receptor too. The very third objective of controlled release drug delivery system is to target the drug action by using the carriers or chemical derivatization to deliver drugs to a particular target cell type Ideally, it is desirable to release the drug at the target site, be it a tissue, population of cells, or you can say the receptors, which leaving the rest of the body drug free. The basic rationale for the controlled drug delivery is to alter the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of drug by using novel molecular structure and of physiological parameters inherent in a selected route of administration. There are three types of control release therapeutic systems are available. Very first one is your passive pre-programmed, then active pre-programmed, and third one is active self-programmed. Most rate control release system fall under the category of passive pre-programmed, in which the release rate is predetermined and remains unaltered irrespective of the external biological environment. Active pre-programmed systems are those in which the release rate can be altered by a source external to the body. Example, insulin method pump, you can say. And in case of active self-programmed system control, the release rate of the drug in response to information by a sensor or by changing the biological environmental system. Example, releasing higher quantity of insulin in response to a high blood glucose level in the diabetes. This is a comparison, a simple comparison of drug release profile uh, by the way of plasma concentration time profile. The plasma concentration time profile curve, we have been learning this the graph, you can say, last from our first semester 2 in pharmaceutics 1. Basically, these to gain the knowledge regarding the plasma concentration time profile, one should know what actually the pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic parameters are there. As far as the pharmacokinetic parameters are there, the peak plasma concentration, which is denoted by Cmax, then time of peak concentration, that is Tmax, and then area under the curve, that is AUC. One should know actually the fundamental knowledge about what actually the Cmax, Tmax and AUC. We'll focus on one by one. The Cmax, it is expressed in microgram per ml. It gives the rate of drug absorption, which may be depend upon, you can say, the rate of absorption, rate of elimination, and obviously the dose administered at initial level. This is all about the Cmax. Tmax is nothing but which is expressed in hours. It gives the rate of drug absorption, onset time and onset of action is depend on this Tmax. Area under the curve, that is AUC, it is expressed in microgram per ml into hours, you can say. It gives the extent of absorption. It is the important parameter in evaluating the bioavailability of drug from its dosage form. Next one is your pharmacodynamic parameter, which mainly consists of minimum effective concentration, that is MEC, then maximum safe concentration, that is MSC, then onset of action, then onset time, duration of action, intensity of action, then therapeutic range, and at last it is your therapeutic index, that is nothing but the ratio of maximum safe concentration to minimum effective concentration of the drug. It's called as therapeutic response. That is this therapeutic index you will get by means of your MSC, that is maximum safe concentration divided by minimum effective concentration. The information which is depicted in this graph, which shows the comparative drug level profile in plasma from administration of conventional control release as well as sustained release dosage form. While the conventional dosage form provides only a single and transient release of drug, the sustained release dosage form, which releases the drug slowly for a prolonged period of time. The ideal control release dosage form release the drug at zero order release rate, thereby maintaining the plasma concentration of drug at a steady state, which is above the minimum effective concentration, that is MEC, and below the minimum toxic concentration, that is MTC. In order to elicit a pharmacological response here, the drug needs to be present in the plasma at a concentration higher than the minimum effective concentration, that is MEC. The problems may occur when the therapeutic window is very narrow, which means the margin of safety of the drug is very less, or the peak plasma concentration of drug across the minimum toxic concentration. Thus, one major objective of the control release dosage form is to improve the safety and efficacy of the drug by reducing the fluctuations in the plasma drug concentration. So this is all about the very basic concept related with the plasma concentration time profile curve. Not only this, but also one should know what actually the parameters by which the sustained release dosage form and control release dosage form shows its own identity. So one by one can discuss about the sustained release dosage form and its comparison towards the control release dosage form too. So when we talk regarding the sustained release dosage form here, very first point it will be there that constitutes the dosage form that provides the medication over the extended period of time, where in case of control release dosage form, it constitutes the dosage form that maintains the constant drug level in blood or tissue. In case of SRDF, that is sustained release dosage form, it is generally do not attain the zero order release kinetic. It is very important when we talk regarding the sustained release dosage form. One should keep this thing in your mind that it will not going to attain the zero order release kinetic, where in case of CRDF, that is control release dosage form, which maintain the constant drug level in the blood target tissue and usually by releasing the drug in a zero order pattern. So you can say that control release which follow the zero order. Not only this, the third part related with the distinguishing parameter of SRDF and CRDF is, in case of SRDF, it is usually do not contain the mechanism to promote the localization of drug at active site, but in case of CRDF, it contains the method to promote the localization of drug at active site. There are the different types of advantages are there related with the SR and CRDDS, that is sustained release and control release drug delivery system. Very first benefit or advantage related with this SR and CRDDS is which improve the absorption, utilization, thereby reducing you improve the absorption, utilization, and thereby enhancing the bioavailability. Second advantage is decrease the local and systemic side effects, reduce the gastrointestinal irritation, then reduction in the dosing frequency, better patient acceptance and compliance, then reduced fluctuation in circulating the drug levels. Second last is reduction in the health care cost, and last is bioavailability of certain drugs can be increased. Every sites there are the two benefits, one benefit and one losing sides are there. So the disadvantages related with the SR and CRDDS is dose dumping. This dose dumping is unpredictable and poor in vitro and in vivo relationship, you can say. Nonetheless, effective drug release time period is influenced and limited by the GI residence time. They need additional patient education, and drug having the very short half-life or very long half-life are poor candidates for sustained release dosage form, for example diazepam. So the very good example is there related with the dose dumping is due to this dose dumping, which will delay the onset of action and hence sometimes not useful in acute conditions, you can say. Next is your dose adjustment is difficult. Patient education is required for the successful therapy. You can say the patient need to substantial additional information as to the proper use sustained release product, poor IVIVC, then higher cost of single unit as compared to the cost of single conventional unit, and last is your stability problem. Drug selection criteria for the oral sustained and controlled drug delivery system, it is based on one should know the physicochemical properties of drug, pharmacokinetic properties of the drug, pharmacodynamic properties of the drug molecule. So what actually the physicochemical properties are? The physicochemical properties, one must contain the molecular weight of the drug, we should know, aqueous solubility of drug, apparent partition or coefficient of drug molecule, then drug pK and ionization at physiological pH, drug stability, mechanism and site of action we should know, the pharmaceutical aspect of route of administration one should know, which included the oral route, intramuscular or subcutaneous route, and last is your transdermal route. So these are the major properties related with the drug one should know. The pharmacokinetic properties one should know, which included the absorption rate, elimination half-life, rate and extent of metabolism, dosage form index, then plasma protein binding. The pharmacodynamic properties, which include the therapeutic index or range, and plasma concentration response relationship, what exactly we had seen just now. As far as the candidate selection criteria for the controlled drug delivery system is concerned, the parameters to be considered for the development of controlled drug delivery systems are few of them. The single dose size, the value must be in between 0.5 to 1 gram maximum. Biological half-life should be in between 1 to 20 hours. GI transit time, you can say it must be between 2 to 8 hours. Then pKa and you can say the unionized moiety, which must be ranging in between 0.1 to 5%, that is at pH 1.5 or 7.8, you can say at basic level. Then absorption mechanism, it is obviously that is your diffusion one, and the partition coefficient, you can say the N-octanol or water system, if you are using for the determination of partition coefficient, then it must be 1000 liter and above. Therapeutic index must be more than 10, and volume of distribution, that is VD, at obviously at steady state level is minimum 35 plus minus 1 liter, you can say. And absorption window must be maintained at wide at pH 1.5 to 7.8, and apparent volume of distribution, you can say it must be 16 to 42 liters. So this is all about the drug candidate selection criteria for the controlled drug delivery system. Here we are going to focus on the classification of oral sustained and controlled drug delivery system. The SR and CR, that is sustained release and control release or control release, is bifurcated into the main three classes. One is your continuous release system, second is your delayed transit and continuous release system, and third is your delayed release system. The continuous release system, the system, you can say the release of drug continuously for prolonged period of time along the entire length of GIT with normal transit time. The different system under these classes are dissolution control release system, diffusion control release system, dissolution and diffusion control release system, ion exchange drugs using complexes, slow dissolving salts and complexes, pH dependent formulation, osmotic pressure control release system, hydrodynamic pressure control release system. Actually in the class we had focused and we had seen these all the explanation related with the different system which comes under the continuous release system. The continuous release system again divided into the two part, that is dissolution control and diffusion control. Obviously dissolution control is again subdivided into the two part, that is matrix system and reservoir system, and meanwhile this diffusion control system is again divided into the matrix system and reservoir system. With respect to the diffusion mechanism, we had seen in the last slide when we had seen the criteria selection for the drug molecule, the mechanism related with the absorption is purely the diffusion diffusion mechanism. So this diffusion control system is divided into the matrix system and reservoir system, wherein matrix system has again divided into the two part, that is rigid system and swellable system. For that purpose, in case of swellable system, you can rely upon the application or carrier, you can say suitably, on different types of natural, synthetic and semi-synthetic parameters. So first we'll see the dissolution control release. These systems are commonly employed in the production of enteric dosage form, drug present in the system having high aqueous solubility and dissolution rate. The matrix system, which mainly you can say in another word it's called as monoliths, which since the drug is homogeneously dispersed throughout a rate controlling medium, example you can say the beeswax, carnauba wax and hydrogenated castor oil. The information which is depicted in the figure here, we could able to see that soluble drug are embedded there in the matrix of your polymer, which is slowly dissolving matrix, you can say. The second part there in the dissolution control release system is reservoir system, where the drug particles are coated or encapsulated by one of the several microencapsulation techniques with slowly dissolving materials like cellulose, PEG, that is polyethylene glycol, and polymethacrylates, waxes, etc. In previous slide we had seen that only the matrix has been prepared with respect to the carriers application. Here we are able to see the double coat of polymer carrier has been deployed here, so to form the reservoir, wherein the soluble drugs are quite embedded there in the reservoir system, which is slowly dissolving erodible coat as far as the mechanism of diffusion is concerned. The second is your diffusion control release system, when there is a movement of drug molecule from a higher concentration region to the one of the lower concentration region, which is also bifurcated into the two part, that is matrix system and reservoir system. If you could able to see there in the figure, the drug is dispersed wherein the first figure, that is insoluble matrix of rigid non-swellable hydrophobic material or swellable hydrophilic substances. So where you could able to see the time which is required to swell that polymer to release the drug molecule at certain time or at certain interval of time. In reservoir system, you are able to see that reservoir has been formed with the appropriate carrier by using that is nothing but your polymer. It will going to be erode while extended period of time. So this system are hollow, which containing inner core of the drug surrounded in a water insoluble polymer. C, that is dissolution and diffusion control release system. Here you could able to see that insoluble membrane has been ruptured, that is it is obviously made up of the certain carriers. On another hand, you are able to see the pore created by the dissolution of soluble fraction of membrane, where entry of the dissolution fluid is there, and drug is obviously going to be diffused from when the carrier get erode, and from that point onward the drug shows its diffusion through the semi permeable membrane, and eventually the drug is gonna bioavailable there in the blood circulations to give you the appropriate desired biological effect, you can say. The D, that is ion. The ion exchange resin drug complexes, it is based on the preparation of totally insoluble ionic material. The resins are insoluble in acidic and alkaline media. They contain ionizable groups which can be exchanged for the drug molecule. So these are nothing but some mechanism I have sum up to generate the self mechanism related with the ion exchange resin drug complexes. Next one is your slowly dissolving salts and complexes. These salts or the complexes of the drug which are slowly soluble in GI fluid, which can be used for the controlled release of the drug molecule. Examples are penicillin G. It has been complexed with NN-dibenzyl ethylene diamine to give the benzathine penicillin G. The next one is your osmotic pressure control release system. Actually, the font style has got changed due to the unsupportive file of this presentation. So here we could able to see there in the diagram that there are the different types of the components as comprises there in the osmotic pressure control release, wherein the gastrointestinal fluids are there, then drug molecules are there, which is there in the brown color, then osmotically active core in between the drug molecule, then you could able to see that arrow which depicted in the figure, which shows that the drug got released from the drug delivery orifice through the semi-permeable membrane. So with respect to the osmosis, this mechanism has been controlled, and with this fashion the drug molecule is diffused from the carrier matrices, and after the maintenance of the osmotic osmosis mechanism, the drug is eventually reaches to the blood circulation to give you the desired biological activity. Next is your hydrodynamic pressure control release. Here you could able to see at the bottom in the diagram that annular opening is there. Then swellable hydrophilic polymer, if you could see in the diagram, which is embedded there in the shape retaining housing. Then collapsible drug reservoir, it is there, which is made up of certain carriers which also retain its rigidity due to the physicochemical property. And finally the drug delivery orifice is there through which the liquid drug formulation is getting diffused from these orifice and get bioavailable there in the systemic circulation to avail the biological system. So this mechanism of drug delivery here in hydrodynamic pressure control release system is depend upon the pressure which is exerted there on the carrier and the shape retaining house, so which conferred its mechanism with respect to the hydrodynamic pressure here. Next is pH dependent formulation, that is such a system are designed to eliminate the influence of GI pH on dissolution and absorption of drug by formulating them with sufficient amount of buffering agent like salts of phosphoric, citric or tartaric acid that adjust the pH to desired value as the dosage form passes along the GIT and permit the drug dissolution and release at a constant rate independent of GI pH. Then delay transit and continuous release system. These systems are designed to prolong release of drug with increased residence time in GIT. Such dosage form are designed to remain in the stomach. Therefore, the drug presented in the such a system should be stable at gastric pH at acidic level. So this class, which mainly consists of ultra density system, mucoadhesive or bioadhesive system, and size based system. Next is ultra density system, that is subpart. If the residence time of drug in the stomach or intestine is prolonged in some way, the frequency of dosing can be further reduced. Altering the density of drug particle, use of mucoadhesive polymers, and altering the size of the dosage form are the some inherent mechanism of this ultra density system, which again divided into the two mechanism, that is high density pellet formation and low density pellet formation. Then B is your mucoadhesive system, or you can say the bioadhesive system, wherein the mucoadhesive polymer and bioadhesive polymers are going to used, which perform its role better by performing its role there in the cross linking mechanism with the help of polyacrylic acid, when incorporated in a tablet, it allow to adhere to the gastric mucosa or the epithelium, and from that point onward it shows its diffusion. The next is your size based system. The diameter, here you can see the diameter of tablet always greater than 2 centimeter, which cannot pass through the pylorus and can't goes into the intestine actually, using high grade polymer like HPMC K200, which having the high swelling property. Next is delayed release system. These systems are fabricated to release the drug only at specific site in the GIT. The drug, those are destroyed in the stomach or by intestinal enzymes known to cause the gastric irritation and absorb from the specific site in the intestine, are formulated in such a system. This is the beauty of this delayed release system. This system, which basically having the two types, that is intestinal release system and colonic release system. We'll see one by one. Intestinal release system, wherein the drug may be enteric coated for the intestinal release to save this drug from the gastric degradation from the acidic pH for several known reasons. That is to prevent the gastric irritation, I have said just now, destabilization in the gastric pH. Then B is your colonic release system, that is drug are poorly absorbed through the colon but may be delivered to such a site for the two reasons. The very first reason is local action, as in the treatment of ulcerative colitis, and second reason is systemic absorption of protein peptide drug like insulin and vasopressin. Before going to roll down the evaluation slide, one should familiar, actually one should know the different types of the terminology when one can eager to learn much more about the CR and SR. So these terminology are really deliberately used, you can say, when one could develop their own product or say the dosage form there in the lab. The USPNF presently recognizes the several type of the modified release dosage form. One is your extended release, you can say ER, then delayed release, that is DR, then targeted release, that is TR. So what actually these ER, DR and TR is, we'll see one by one. The extended release, that is ER, is a dosage form which allows at least a two-fold reduction in dosage frequency as compared to that drug presented as an immediate release, that is conventional dosage form. For example, you can take the tolterodine tartrate extended release beads, which is available in the market as a 2 milligram and 4 milligram dose, which has been developed by the OHM Labs Limited, USA, and a Cifran OD tablet, which is of 500 mg capacity or higher, 1 gram, which has been discovered or produced by Ranbaxy Lab Limited, India. Then next is your delayed release. What actually it means? A dosage form that release a discrete portion or proportion of the drug at a time or time other than promptly after the administration, although one portion may be released promptly after the administration. Example, you can say the clarithromycin delayed release tablet. It is available in the market, which has been made by the Ranbaxy Pharmaceuticals. Then TR, that is targeted release, a dosage form that release the drug at or near the intended physiologic site of action. Targeted release dosage form may have either a immediate or extended release characteristics. Here there are certain parameter it is given, which shows its identity related with the evaluation of SR and CR. The very first evaluation parameter for the SR and CR is your appearance, then friability, hardness, thickness, weight variation, tablet density, drug content, in vitro drug release, in vivo study, diffusion study, stability study, bioadhesion or mucoadhesion test, IVIVC, then floating capacity, and at last kinetic modeling. So these are the few evaluation parameter by which one can easily identify whether your prepared dosage form is your control release or either your sustained release dosage form. Nonetheless, if you do have your pellets of SR and CR quality, then there are certain evaluation apart from the previous one, that is friability, weight variation, tablet density, drug content, floating capability, in vitro drug release, kinetic modeling, in vivo study, diffusion study, expiry date determination and stability studies, then bioadhesion or mucoadhesion test, and at last is your IVIVC. If you have prepared the sustained release or control release capsule, then weight variation, drug content, in vivo study, in vitro drug release, stability studies, etc. So these are the few evaluation parameter which one might keep in mind while preparing the SR or CR type of the dosage form. It would be your tablet, capsule, or pellets, or anything else. These are the few applications I have cited here. So application of SR and CRDDS is, one is your oral controlled drug delivery system, then GRDDS, that is gastroretentive drug delivery system. So this system, gastroretentive drug delivery system, basically release the drug at a predetermined rate and over a defined period of time. Or in other language, you can, in a simple manner, you can say that GRDDS is a controlled drug delivery system possessing the ability of being retained in stomach are called as GRDDS, which can be help in optimizing the oral controlled drug delivery drugs having absorption window by continuously releasing the drug prior to the absorption window for prolonged period of time, ensuing the optimal bioavailability. Next is your ocular drug delivery system, then transdermal drug delivery system, intestinal drug delivery system, and at last the colonic drug delivery system. In colonic drug delivery system, you can say the most of the conventional drug delivery system for treating the colon disorder such as inflammatory bowel syndrome, that is your ulcerative colitis, Crohn diseases, etc. Infectious disease like amoebiasis and colon cancers are also failing as the drug does not reach the site of action in appropriate concentration. So moreover, some of the drug molecules are sensitive to the upper GI tract environment, that is presence of surfactants, bile salts, enzymes, and pH, which could destroy the drug molecule. So this result in an unacceptable variability in bioavailability of even stable drugs. So the effective drug concentration to the colon could be reached either by reducing the drug absorption from the upper intestine, that is your stomach and small intestine region, or by direct delivery of the drug to the colon. For the safe and effective therapy, formulation that release the drug into the colon rather than upper intestinal tract are beneficial, wherein the biological half-life plays its important role. Actually, the concept related with the basic biological half-life, usually the goal of sustained release product is to maintain the therapeutic blood level over an extended period of time. To this, drug must enter the circulation at approximately the same rate at which it is eliminated. So the elimination rate is quantitatively described by the half-life, so that is T half. So therapeutic compounds with short half-life are excellent candidate for the sustained release preparation, since these can reduce the dosing frequency. Where I could say the some some part of this presentation which has really emphasized on the controlled drug delivery system. Basically, the pharmacodynamic basis of the controlled drug delivery system one should know actually. So this is your fundamentals only related with your SR and CR. Basically, the pharmacokinetic and safety issues must be considered in the development and evaluation of modified release dosage form. The most critical issue is to consider whether the modified release dosage form truly offers an advantage over the same drug in an immediate release form, that is your conventional dosage. This may be related to the safety, efficacy and better patient compliances. Ideally, the extended release dosage form should provide a more prolonged pharmacodynamic effect compared to the same drug given in the immediate release form. However, a control release dosage form of a drug may have an accurate intermittent, you can say, rapid release dosage form. So you can take the example of your transdermal patch of nitroglycerin, which produces a prolonged delivery of drug, which may reduces or produce the functional tolerance to the vasodilation activity that is not observed when nitroglycerin is given sublingually for the acute angina attack. So this is the basic related with the SR and CR. So moreover, the dosage form failure due to the dose dumping or due to the lack of drug release may have important clinical implications. So another unforeseen problem with a modified release dosage form is an alteration in the metabolic fate of the drug, such as you can say the non-linear biotransformation or site specific disposition. Before going to talk on the marketed product, one should know what actually the drug stability is required. The stability of drug in environment to which it is exposed is another physicochemical factor to be considered in the design at sustain or either controlled release system. Drugs that are unstable in stomach can be placed in slowly soluble form or have their release delayed until they reach the small intestine. So this is another beauty related with the stability. The another aspect related with the stability is orally administered drug can be subjected to both acid base hydrolysis and enzymatic degradation. So this degradation will proceed at the reduced rate for the drug in the solid state. For drugs that are unstable in stomach, system that prolong delivery over the entire course of transit in GI tract are beneficial. The compounds that are unstable in the small intestine may demonstrate decreased bioavailability when administered from a sustaining dosage form. So this is because more drug is may deliver in small intestine, you can say, and hence which is subjected to the degradation. However, for some drug which are unstable in small intestine or undergo extensive gut wall metabolism, have decreased the bioavailability. When these drugs are administered from a sustained dosage form to achieve the better bioavailability, at different route of the drug administered should be chosen. You can say, you can take example of your nitroglycerin. The presence of metabolizing enzyme at the site or pathway can be utilized. Protein binding, apart from the drug stability, the protein binding is also the one of the crucial part actually one has to focus on while learning much more about the CR and SR. It is well known that many drugs which bind to the plasma protein with the influence on duration of action. The drug protein binding serves as a depot for a drug producing prolonged release profile, especially it is high degree of drug binding occurs. Extensive binding, you can say, to the plasma protein will be evidenced by a long half-life of elimination for drug, and such drugs generally most require a sustained release dosage form. However, these drugs that exhibits high degree of binding to plasma protein also might bind to the biopolymers in GI tract, which could have influence on the sustained drug delivery. This presence of hydrophobic moiety on drug molecule also increases the binding potential. The binding of drug to plasma protein, example your albumin, which results in the retention of the drug into the vascular space. You can say the drug protein complex can serve as reservoir in the vascular space for the sustained drug release to extravascular tissue, but only for those drugs that exhibited a high degree of binding. The main force of attraction are van der Waals forces, hydrogen binding, and electrostatic binding. In general, the charged compound have a great tendency to bind a protein than uncharged compound due to a electrostatic effect. You can take your example of some drug molecule. You can say amitriptyline, then diazepam. It's a well-known example. So you can cite this example as far as the binding to the plasma protein, which results in the retention of drug into the vascular space, you can say. So as far as this presentation is concerned, which has mainly focused on the sustained release and the controlled release, there are the n number of article are available on the net, by which one can easily brush up the some basic parameter of SR and CR to learn much more about it. So the abundant amount of information are available everywhere. They're in the books, they're in the journals, they're in the presentation, they're in the patents even. When you are supposed to talk on this topic, it's really a very hot topic actually to talk on. In next presentation we're going to wind up some another parameter which is concerned with the SR and CR. These are some dosage form, marketed dosage forms are available in the form of tablets or diclofenac sodium, that is the product name is DICSR, which has been manufactured by Deep Pharma Limited, carbamazepine, Zenretard. So then diclofenac sodium, NAC SR, diclofenac sodium, Voveran SR, and nifedipine, theophylline, which has been available there in the market. So apart from that, some SR and CR dosage forms are also available in the capsule. That is your diazepam, which is made by Ranbaxy, diclofenac sodium, indomethacin, nitroglycerin, and not only tablet and capsule, but also the SR and CR dosage forms are also available in the transdermal form even, that is your nitroglycerin, which is available in the form of Nitroderm TTS, which is made by the Ciba GG. The nicotine also, that is nicotine patch, is also available, that is product name, which is manufactured by the Ciba GG also. So this is all about the marketed formulation which is available nowadays in the market. So now this is my concluding note on this fundamental of controlled drug delivery is your drugs are delivered for various purposes through various route of administration and by different dosage forms for local or systemic action in the body. A thorough knowledge of conventional drug delivery system one should have, which must contain the pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamic aspects for the better understanding of the SR and CR. So the rate limiting step in the drug availability for conventional delivery system is the absorption of drug across a biological membrane such as GI tract. For a sustained or controlled release delivery system, the rate limiting step is the release of drug from the delivery system. Thus, the drug availability is controlled by the kinetic of drug release rather than the absorption. So the behavior of the drug and its delivery system in the body is extremely complex, which involve the fate of drug during the transit to the target area as well as its fate while in biophase, the availability of drug at its target site, which depends on its pharmacokinetic, so as well as that of its carrier. So in this case, the drug targeting, the carrier is used to alter the pharmacokinetic of the drug in the body. So dear students, to learn much more about the SR and CR is very basic actually, or very easy actually, because you do have the abundant sources of the information you can go through. So this is all about the sustained release and control release drug delivery system. In next presentation, the we'll going to roll down our next parameter, which is related with your compartmental modeling related with the SR and CR. Thank you very much.